How does this affect crypto's image, which has already taken a beating in the past year with events like the collapse of FTX?
Superficially, it's not great for the image, given that it was used as a mechanism for funding demonic, barbaric acts. However, you see how rapidly authorities have been able to use the blockchain technology and its public distributed ledger to trace donors, to freeze wallets, and whatnot. So crypto is really a double-edged sword. It's quick, it's fast, it's cheap to transfer money, but the fact is every single transaction done is memorialized forever on an immutable public blockchain. So it makes the forensic accounting and tracking down the supporters of this unspeakable evil actually a lot easier than going through the banking system or other forms of money laundering, such as watches, artwork, stamps. There's all manner of ways to transmit illicit funds.
Unlike traditional clothing, which is static, Primrose allows me to refresh my look in a moment. Wow.
That is wild. I mean, come on, that's crazy.
What is happening right now?
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the Cash App and by joining the Patreon.
And while we have the bank man on trial, so is crypto and blockchain. And we know that's increasing adoption, whether it's good news or bad news. And we know every transaction is recorded. No privacy. And at the end of this trial, I guarantee they're going to be pushing the message on how great blockchain is. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And guys, a Patreon member sent me this video. We have the fourth industrial revolution dress on stage. And we know eventually when you walk into these retail stores, you're not going to have to worry about trying anything on. They'll have a screen where they take a picture of you and then put the dress on you. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
Are you expecting a banking crisis as well?
Well, I would say two things about that. One, we're going to obviously get a whole slew of financial earnings over the next week. I think they're the first group really to report. Friday. And I'd look at loan loss provisioning. I'm assuming that there's going to be a continued increase in loan loss provisioning. The other point I would make is that while they have raised deposit rates, they're still nowhere near in line with what you can get in a 6-month T-bill. But the problem has been largely ring-fenced by the Fed's program where they let the Fed pledge these underwater securities to them at par. So I'm not as concerned about a banking crisis per se as a crisis in the shadow bank sector that doesn't have the luxury of pledging securities to the Federal Reserve at par to meet deposit outflows. I think that is maybe what the Fed's more concerned about is because it's invisible. They can't see it, can't regulate it, and we know it's like the Wild West out there. They have been taking tremendous risks. I mean, look at the boom in private credit that didn't even exist several years ago. Now it's over $1 trillion, and it's growing so fast that the banks are trying to get into it. They're like, hey, we can't keep losing share to these non-bank players. We're going to get into that market too, which in my view is a sure sign that we're about to turn south in terms of credit quality big time. The other kind of tongue-in-cheek signal on that was Blackstone's addition to the S&P index a couple weeks ago. Blackstone, as you may know, is the largest alternative asset manager. So their inclusion in the S&P, in my view, marks a top in this alternative asset bubble that we've seen over the last several years, fueled in no part, as Tom mentioned, by this QE insanity that they maintained basically a decade of zero money policy when the economy was already well on the road to recovery.
Yeah,
so
Thomas,
long story short, I'm concerned about a crisis in the non-bank sector, but certainly these higher rates are going to cause some wheel to fall off. So.
John, the market says there's over a third probability that one of the two meetings is live. I hope it's not. I really hope it's not. But you know that I say that because not only do I worry about the lagged effects and the financial stability and growth effects, but I also do think there's a danger in trying to get to 2% too quickly. And if you look closely at the CPI numbers, and if you look at what's happening over the last 3 months, and if you look at the components of that, you will see why it is. Inflation has migrated in such a way that to get to 2%, you may end up crushing the economy and risking financial instability. So I hope they don't move either in November or December. I don't know what they're going to do. But behind that is a view that I know is not shared publicly yet by the Fed, which is we need to revisit the monetary framework. We need to revisit what is the right inflation target and how fast do we get to it.
Indicate a direct link. Watch this.
We moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region, and made it clear to the Iranians, be careful.
To show dominance across the world, even in this conflict here between Israel and the world against Hamas, you're seeing China call for a two-state solution.
Yes, and this is occurring at a time when China has internal problems which are almost unprecedented, ones we haven't seen in a decade, purges in the Chinese military, and yet China is exercising influence because of the strength of one individual, Xi Jinping. And the United States, which is still the strongest nation in the world, appears to be one of the weakest because of the failure of someone sitting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that Hamas and the Iranians looked at the leadership in America and thought, well, now is the time to strike Israel?
Absolutely. And they're not the only ones who are thinking that. And we've got to be prepared that this conflict will spread elsewhere around the world. This looks like the beginning of World War III.
Oh, my goodness.
And we have the regional banks reporting this week. And guys, we know this all came from the Fed. 0% interest rates, printing all this money, fighting the inflation that they cause. Remember, they cause the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. Now we're getting into waiting for the reaction because all these people are losing jobs, and the solution are the machines and crypto. And we have the drums are beating. WW3 is right around the corner. And we have China becoming a peacemaker. And that's because you're witnessing the fall of America to Babylon and the rise of China the dragon. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows, when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.